Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I'm glad that this title finally came over to all available consoles, as this was originally an Xbox and PC exclusive. It's great to finally see it come over to the other consoles and grace us with this truly special space experience. It seems to be gaming's version of Star Wars. To date, the gaming space doesn't have a space epic more prominent than the Mass Effect series. Their take on space, aliens, and the galaxy is an interesting one. After playing through this series, I can understand why it's loved so much, and I can understand even more why BioWare's fall from grace is so painful, with releases such as Anthem and Andromeda being such big disappointments. This is going to be a long video, so because of that we're going to break down every single Mass Effect game piece by piece with a video review for all of them. This will be the first part of the trilogy of videos of this great RPG series, Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition. Let's get started with the one that started it all, Mass Effect 1. BioWare chose to remaster this trilogy instead of giving it a full-blown remake like many titles have gotten over the past few years. Out of all of the Mass Effect games that I've played, the original one is definitely the one in more so a dire need of a remake than a remaster. It has aged painstakingly poor in every single aspect except the narrative. So does it look good? Well, no. You will definitely feel like you're playing a retro or an older title through and through. Now, if you can look past that, you will be rewarded with a special and unique space tale. That unfortunately is kind of the trend that you'll be following if you play this game in its entirety. If you're able to look past its flaws, this game will undoubtedly become a classic for you as well. I went into the series completely blind. This was my first Mass Effect game ever, so I don't have any nostalgia glasses to blur me in any sort of way. So let's get right into it. As soon as you hop into the game, you'll feel the age in many of its aspects. But an area where the games shine bright even in today's standard is undoubtedly the narrative. Characters, RPG elements, the substantial player choice in key moments. In this game, these moments are made so much more meaningful as you are able to genuinely shift the way things operated, and the narrative and the writing is definitely of high quality. Now, let me set the stage of the place or area that you'll be playing in throughout this entire game series. We are many years into the future, and humans are definitely not the only life forms around. In fact, we've all discovered each other, and we've actually even moved past those times of trying to conquer each other or fight each other. In fact, we're actually living in somewhat times of peace in a far time into the future. Not only is there life in the galaxy, humans are in fact the small fish in the big wide ocean that is space. Them not being included in the essential intergalactic UN, the Council. There are many different planets and life forms coming together at the Citadel, the capital of the galaxy. Mass relays are the technology that allows for life to travel at light speeds to intergalactic galaxies all over the entire realm. This allows your ship to warp to your chosen location. I give you all of this context just to show that the Mass Effect lore is really good and really substantial. It was really well executed and engaging. It feels like a real world that actually exists out there. Even for such an old game, I was immersed successfully. Now, combat though will definitely kind of bring you back into reality. You take the reins of your own character, your own Commander Shepard, or the generic one that the game luckily provides for you. The customization options are decent enough, but what's really cool is that you can completely import your custom Shepard to the sequel games very easily. So you can make your games, your journey throughout every single game, a very cohesive and very cool one with the character you've created from the very start. This game has indeed aged poorly, but in the aspects that really matter in the grand scheme of things, Mass Effect remains a classic from my view. I've now completed Mass Effect 1 and 2 and have made substantial progress in Mass Effect 3. So while those games have exceedingly improved in terms of combat and graphics, they were unable to capture the uniqueness that Mass Effect 1 was able to have when they were still young in the game, when they were still fresh, when they were still indie, even in a sense, where they were still able to take risks and take decisions that perhaps wouldn't be allowed or accepted in a widely sold or conventional game series. They took far more risk in the way they handled companions, depth, and simply how you were able to organically find your side quests. But before I dive deeper into that, let's get right into the business and into aspects that a lot of gamers are going to care about quite a lot, the combat. RPGs are known for usually having lackluster combat, and Mass Effect is no different. In fact, this game could actually be even worse in this aspect, even for the standards of 2007 when this game was released. Mass Effect is painfully stiff and groggy. You're going to be sticking to cover for most of the game as you shoot your way through your enemies. The combat definitely will get old quick, even quicker if you play the trilogy in succession to each other. What really helps though is, and keeps the game really interesting, are the cool abilities that you and your companions have. Some enemies do end up being bullet sponges, but these diverse abilities and weapons that you can upgrade over time make the game better. It gives your build genuine uniqueness. The original Mass Effect made your decision and your build class actually really matter, because there is gear, weapons, abilities that you could not use because of the class you choose to play as in the very beginning. Most RPGs these days don't really value this to the same degree. It's nice to be able to get a taste of everything, but forcing you into one particular playstyle makes your class decision at the beginning of the game that much more important. It's fine as you're able to actually completely customize your companions who are of a different class and have different abilities that you can use at your will. So even if you're playing as a Vanguard player, you can have a Biotic on your team and enjoy the abilities that a Biotic has, and they'll make the overall experience even better. So depending on the player you are, this may employ you to go for a second playthrough, but for me personally, because I would have these different classes on my team, I was thoroughly satisfied with playing through the game just once. My first BioWare game was Dragon Age Inquisition. It was really cool and it was a really great title that really sticks with me to this day, and I'm definitely looking forward to going back and playing some of the older Dragon Age titles. It was nice to come back to a BioWare game and see some of the familiarities in the gameplay systems that were implemented in Inquisition, and to see how they were executed when they were first initially developed in the Mass Effect series. It's really impressive to see how great their range in game developing is, and hopefully their next title will be able to capture the heights of this OG trilogy. While the game won't hit the combat spot, hopefully the other parts of the game will be able to compensate for that deficit. Now, before I mention that the combat is probably not going to satiate you if you're someone who really enjoys action and thrill in video games. But if we're talking about this game from a narrative experience, nothing is left unexplored, and with more doors and potential opened in the game's subsequent sequels. The characters, the main story, the side quests, the companion tales, and the lore are knocked out of the park. Mass Effect is truly gaming Star Wars, as this world gives me an iconic feeling. While the story of Shepard is great, and BioWare have constructed a captivating world with dense lore, I can actually see there being so many great stories that can be told from this great foundation that BioWare has set. I say all of this to convey that the world of Mass Effect is deep, and this does nothing but elevates the quality of the narrative that is served on this bountiful, well-polished silver platter. If I talk about the main story, I'll be honest with you, it is kind of on the generic side, but the foundation that it was built upon is what makes it particularly special. So in Mass Effect 1, you are the Council's first human Spectre assigned to stop Saren, who's revealed to be working for a bigger and more sinister force that wants to change the world forever. Uncovering this race that has corrupted the fellow Spectre Saren is interesting and tragic. This is only the first part of the puzzle, but you'll definitely have a satisfying conclusion once you finish the game. This isn't like Assassin's Creed where you wrap it up and you're left on a cliffhanger. No, in this game you will reach a satisfying conclusion before you get on to the next title. Now, the side content is really also well executed. The side quests really hit the spot. You can tell that such aspects were special because they were still young in the game. Over time, you will see that these techniques kind of dissipate as more money comes in. The content becomes more generic and user-friendly, if you catch my drift. There aren't really much quest markers on your map, and even if you're talking to some characters, you really have to listen to what they're saying and follow their directions. This is a bit tough in some situations, and the map, pretty much isn't there and totally sucks. But the benefit is that you will learn the location that you visit on the regular pretty well. The elevators that work, the new spots that are unlocked to you now, the shortcuts, and by the end of it all, I knew the Citadel and other locations pretty damn well. Now, from a graphical fidelity perspective, it's pretty rough, my guy. I gotta be honest with you. But if you can look past that, there are things that you can really appreciate from the game. From the simple way that the aliens and the multiple races are uniquely designed, and you can tell a semblance of an art style that they were truly able to develop in this first title. And another part that really shows this great cultural phenomenon is the music. My goodness, this is the best gaming soundtrack I've heard in years, hands down. It slaps hard, and especially the atmospheric music during travel, main menu, music. The action OST is solid as well, but the OSTs that play in the background when you're doing things that you would generally consider inconsequential really slap hard. Now, I haven't done this in a while, but I really want to do a spoiler section for Mass Effect 1, a game that I want to talk about with the OG fans if they are watching this video. I will leave a timestamp in the description so you are able to skip the spoiler section. It is pretty short and you aren't going to miss out on much. And when you finally play Mass Effect 1 for yourself, make sure to come back and watch the rest of the video. Oh man. Now bro, the Reaper and Prothean reveals were really cool, and to find out that, Saren, this cool and main guy, is actually being manipulated by this higher technological race was really cool and honestly quite tragic. Having the option to actually sacrifice the ex-Geni colony and the council was really cool. Most games wouldn't even give you the option to be able to sacrifice such important characters, and it's nice that in such an older title that they're willing to take these types of risks. I was a bit disappointed of the ramifications of having a human colony didn't actually carry over to the sequel, as it was kind of talked about here and there that the humans are more hated, but there really wasn't much talked about it, and you didn't actually get to meet this all-human council by the end of it all, which is kind of disappointing. And I'd say the only gripe that I personally have is that you don't have an option to deal with Saren. By this I mean you don't have an option to save Saren. You don't have an option to perhaps try and disconnect Saren from the Reaper or choose how you want to deal with Saren. The only option you actually have is to just kill him by the end of it all. But other than that, I was happy with it. It was a great experience. There's substantial player choice, especially in the side content. And yeah, bro. In terms of the side content and the side quest, I'd say I would have liked some more bigger, substantial side quests. But I'd say this was cool because this is actually remedied and completely fixed by Mass Effect 2, as you don't have to worry about that, as there's substantial companion side quests. So, in conclusion, Mass Effect is a great title, man. I'm really happy that we're able to finally play this as PlayStation fans ourselves, and they finally made us, be able to play this masterpiece. And because of this, I'm genuinely looking forward to the next project that BioWare is going to put out, and maybe I'll actually give Mass Effect Andromeda a chance just to see how much their Full of Grace actually is. So if you're asking for a rating from me, I'm giving this game an 8.5 out of 10. Mass Effect 1 is still great, and playing it through the Legendary Edition is the way to go. Unfortunately, you aren't playing it at 60 frames per second, but it is serviceable enough if you are playing it on an older system such as the PlayStation 4. I usually do a value section at the end of these videos, but I will save that actually for the final part of this series where I talk about the game from a value perspective, the gameplay time, the price deals, and what are the best ways and places you can procure this game for yourself. Look out for the final Mass Effect 3 review, and I will give you a very distinct and very thorough idea of how you should procure this game. But I want to thank you guys for tapping into the video. Hope you enjoy the content. More content like this is on the way. I make gaming, anime, manga content and the like. And subscribe to find out more, man. Leave a comment down there and tell me your thoughts on this video. Am I a bit wild? Do you disagree? Are there some frailties that I didn't discover or point out in my review? Let me know in the comments. Take it easy, gents.